What's up, guys? We are Grit. I'm Victoria Dennis alongside Meg Burgdorf, and you might have seen him flying around your reels or maybe even the actual sand. Joining us today is Burik, founder of Better at Beach Volleyball. Welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool setup.
Yeah, it's a fun setup. So happy to have you here. A lot of topics that we want to cover, everything from coaching style to your journey and kind of everything in between. But Meg will go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, so I'm dying to know. You started off Team USA, this whole quest, going to the Olympics, and now you have Better at Beach. Tell me more about that journey.
Oh, man. So I was playing pro indoor overseas and just kind of had to choose, do I want to pursue, if I want to go to the Olympics, do I want to pursue indoor or do I want to pursue beach? And I thought I would have more control over beach and it was a little bit more fun. So made the decision, stop playing indoor. Let's go to California, figure it out. But, you know, you got like 1,500 left after your indoor career. And so I had to find a way to start making some money quick. And all of my goal was just, all right, I've been a coach my whole life. Since I was 13 years old, I was coaching sports. And I said, let's make sure that my job can be on the beach so that I can actually batch my time, right? So I'll just coach and do that. And at the time I was working for a few beach volleyball vacation companies. I was like, I could do that in California, and I could do what hurt me the most was showing up to California for the first couple summers and having no one to play with, not realizing any coaches existed, and then where are they? Like no one's like shouting out like, hey, I coach adults who are trying to make it on the AVP. So we started that, and then that grew into more local classes, that grew into our YouTube channel, that grew into our online coaching program, and now we're starting a coaching certification as well. So it just keeps leveling up and coming with more and more work.
Yeah. And as a new dad, that's a balance. So congrats to you.
There's no balance in dadding. It's full throttle. And to any new parents out there, I hope you have a partner as great as I do. Like we just work together really well. We're super patient with each other. And when you're about to blow up and then you can hold back, it shows a lot of maturity, and then we can problem solve together. So like right now, she's at a fitting in Hollywood for a stunt coming up, and I'm here at a studio, and it's like, okay, who's gonna take the baby? Like, do you take the baby to Hollywood? Do I take it to a studio? It worked out with her nap time that Janelle gets her this time.
It's amazing. And not only your family, but your extended family, your team behind the team. You've added a lot of, athletes and coaches to Better at Beach. Tell me about some of those key figures for you.
Oh man, I mean, Brandon's my best friend. So Brandon Joyner, if you follow along, you know Brandon. But we started doing business coaching like in college. I was just like, hey, I can bring good volleyball back to Brooklyn, where I'm from. I'm from Queens, but during the summers I was able to coach in Brooklyn. And I said, we can run a camp here. Like, why don't you come up 3 weeks, we'll hang out, we'll have fun, and we'll just like coach kids. And that was our first start. Then we both played overseas, did whatever, and he was teaching middle school. And I was like, hey, are you growing? Are you like getting better every day? Are you improving? And he's like, I don't really know. I was like, well, come on out. I got something really super challenging for you, and I can't offer you money, but if we make money, we can do it together. And so he came out. He wanted to chase some pro dreams too, and he's still doing that. He's at a futures event for FIVB right now, and we've been grinding together same way, being a good partner, being patient with each other, and figuring out how to problem solve. And then Tanya Stumphauser got us onto YouTube and really blew us up like right around COVID. And then we added Chad Mercado to the team, who is creating sick highlight videos and does all of the graphics, super creative. And he comes from like a sales background as well as exercise science. So he's doing a lot of that. And then we got Matt Hazel, who's doing a lot of our online coaching. And he's in this like amazing university because we keep bringing in new beach volleyball coaches and new beach volleyball players. And so every week, him, along with our online members, they get to learn from AVP players, national team coaches. So it's fun, it's challenging, but it's
But
a
you've
journey.
made it lucrative too. And that's hard to do in beach
We're alive.
volleyball. Hard to do in beach volleyball.
Yeah. At some point I looked at beach volleyball and I said, I am not that dumb and I'm not making any money. So how can I figure this out? Like, there has to be just an easy button that people are hitting somewhere. Like, all these people have beautiful houses on the Pacific looking at the sunset, like on the Pacific Ocean. It's like, there's got to be some kind of easy button. So then I started looking at real estate, and any dollar that I took from volleyball or from Volleyball World, I was like, boom, let me throw it into a long-term investment into real estate. And so that's been, again, hard, but easy. And so now we've rolled into 7 properties. We got our first open Airbnb in Florida with its own beach volleyball court, which is sick.
That's been
Amazing.
so fun to see, which we'll definitely tap into that in a second. But let's talk about the tier breakdown of Better at Beach.
Okay.
First off, what's the elevator pitch of Better at Beach?
We're here to make you better at beach. That's it. Like, whether you're a coach, whether you're a player, if you're a parent who's just trying to figure out how to help your kid, if you want to get better at the game, we're here for you, and we offer everything that you can imagine because we have workbooks, we have coaching certifications, we have online training and courses. You could just watch the courses, but we do 24/7 video analysis, which is pretty nuts. So we've got all of our volleyball minds and guys, so anytime you upload your video, which we give you in the courses, we analyze it. We analyze your squat technique, your Olympic lifting technique. If you show us a video of you passing, we're like, okay, your hands aren't together early enough, or they're together, splitting apart after the pass. So we're doing constant video analysis, which I know for me was a huge, huge upgrade in my game. Just watching hundreds of hours of Todd Rogers and saying, how can I be more like him? Looking at 2 videos at the same time, seeing where he is, seeing where I am. And had I had somebody to lead me through that, I probably would have guessed like all the right things instead of experimenting. Do you guys know that story about Todd?
No.
There's something where if you watch what pros do and you try to learn from them without knowing why they do it or what they do, you're going to make a huge mistake. He had a slap tear in his right shoulder, and like everybody on East Beach and Santa Barbara was watching him when he was winning for 8 years in a row, and they're like doing everything that he did. And he could only lift his arm if he kind of like slid it inside and then brought it up in order to set. And so he had to do that for a summer because he had this injury. And he said he came back to Santa Barbara, and he said after about 3 months, he noticed that everybody on the beach was doing this and a little snake move in order to set. And it's like, no, guys, I wouldn't teach that. I just had to do it because of this.
That's a really interesting point coming from a coach mindset, because the amount of times people say, but I watched their video and I want to, emulate them. That's a really interesting.
Yeah. So
maybe they're doing it out of injury prevention.
Right. And if you don't have somebody
mobility.
explaining it to you, you get a lot from watching, you get a lot from learning. But if somebody's actually teaching you the why or what's happening, then it'll prevent you from going off on a huge tangent.
How long are the video submissions?
Oh, so we tell everybody, hey, you got to keep it to 30 seconds or less. So we tell them to clip it, and we're probably about to start a relationship with Ball Time, which is an AI software that cuts all of your actions for you. And so we say, like, give us the quickest. So all of our members have had to be baby video editors, right? But now they'll have that software, and it'll edit it for them, which is
Ball
nice.
Time's doing some really cool things.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
they are.
love
Big time.
seeing what they're doing.
So that's so unique with Better at Beach, because if I'm an adult between the ages of, let's say, 25 and how old is your oldest camper that you've ever had?
74.
There you go,
Nice.
right? So
Love it.
if I'm between
Diversity.
25 and 74 and I live in a rural area,
The rural juror.
rural area, I have access to high-level coaching,
Yeah.
which is very unique. So you have your online program, you also have in-person camps, you have Hermosa, right? But then you have 6-day camps across the nation.
Yeah, so we do, so far we've been doing 5 a year, 7-day camps. Where that turns into just a giant long vacation where it's just kind of unlimited volleyball. But we separate ourselves a little bit from some of the other vacations, like SOB and volleyball vacations, and we really dive hard into the coaching. So if you're trying to get better and you're trying to improve and you're trying to have somebody look at you for 4 hours a day and like help you make those adjustments, that's why you're coming to us. not that we don't have fun, but we definitely focus on the coaching. And so we help our coaches and players also become better coaches. So
And I can
our leaders are learning from each other.
Yes, I can definitely attest to that because I coached one of your Better at Beach camps in Clearwater.
Florida, yeah.
Yes, and so we have the normal camp that goes throughout the day, but your campers can sign up for private lessons. And I remember getting booked on like multiple private lessons, coaching up some of your clients, and I remember being passed out on the couch, like in somebody's like lounge living room. We're all having lunch, and I just was like passed out because I was coaching like probably like 4 extra hours per day, which adds up in the sun. But I mean, I'm there like, we're there to make these athletes better. And a lot of them were first timers, which is so much fun. And the average age was maybe what, like 40?
Yeah,
35?
I'd say like mid-30s.
Yeah.
We get a lot of late 20-year-olds. It's not easy because it becomes a rather expensive weekend when you're talking, okay, now I have to book hotels, now I have to book flights, like on top of that, the coaching and the food. There's still a lot to pay for. So to ask a 20-year-old to come and foot that bill, not easy. But that's why we've also started our 3-day camps. We said, okay, it's not easy for people to get away from their family, their jobs, and bite the bullet for flights, hotels, etc. So we said, actually asked all of our campers, like, why did you wait 2 years before booking this camp? You just told me that. And they said, wow, I can't take 9 days off of work and family. Got you. What if we came to you for 3 days? I said, oh my God, all I have to take off is Friday and then it's a Saturday, Sunday camp? Yes. So then now we're doing 3-day camps all around the country and going to different towns and facilities. So if you have a facility or you have more than 2 courts, go ahead and shoot me a text and we'll set up something in your town for your club, your group, your people, whatever you want.
Yeah, fun stuff.
So tell me more as a coach about your coaching academy and your next steps in kind of growing better at Beach on the coaching side.
So never worked with kids. I worked with kids, but choose to avoid kids for all you lovely parents out there and all the drama that comes with it. It is absurd. It's absurd that we are losing all of the best coaches and coaching minds because parents have huge problems and they just say, I came in this to help kids and now all I'm doing is easing parental emotions all day long. Instead of focusing on being a great coach, I have to answer all these problems. So I recognize that, and for the people who are tolerating that and fighting through it as coaches, I'm with you. I know it's hard, and congratulations. For all the parents out there, do your best with your kid. If your kid is not outside of practice and you have to take the ball away from them to feed them dinner, stop worrying about them going D1 and pro. Like, they need to be addicted to the sport first. And for the people who are like, oh, well, they're in practice and this coach isn't doing it and that's why they're not getting better. No, practice is the bare minimum to be a part of the team. Your job as an athlete, like, Kobe, LeBron, everybody who's doing great, Tom Brady, these are the guys who are doing all the work outside of the practice court. So if your kid's not hooked on the sport, if you're not ripping the ball from them anywhere outside the court, you're wasting your time and energy and stress anyway. Back to those poor coaches.
I hear you on that for sure, because I coach a 14 indoor boys team for SCVC, and it's cool to see. I'll give like what I think is an inspirational speech after a tournament, like good or bad tournament. I'll leave them on a high note, to come back to practice the next week. But I have a couple parents text me and they're like, I don't know what you said to my kid, but I can't take the volleyball out of his hands. They were at the point and he was just hitting against the wall. And he had to like take it away so the family could go to dinner. But it's really cool to see young athletes like that, like really have that passion.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And you want to, as a parent, you want to introduce your kid to as many things as possible, but not once they start it, like, okay, you're interested in this, now we've got to go as hard as we possibly can. Like, let their interests lead them.
Yeah, it's managing.
Take the phones out of their hands and then like let their interest lead them. And then if they ask for more or you notice that they're hooked on it, then go. That's kind of what my mom did. I was like, she saw me wearing a bunch of stupid funky socks, and for the next 8 Christmases, I got wacky socks for Christmas. She's like, oh, he's interested in that. Okay, now I'll feed that instead of trying to feed the passion for them or fight their own battles.
And it's managing the burnout and the fatigue, and we see that in the younger athletes, even going through the college program. and not really making that transition into that pro life.
Yeah.
Because they're done.
So for that, we focused on adults. One, because I didn't want triple the admin, and I wanted to be able to play pro and not have to deal with that. Because if you're coaching kids, then you have to deal with two parents' questions as well as making the kid better, right? And then if you're playing at the same time, that's a lot of extra time. So I said, adults, the people who come to me, they worked hard for their money. They want to, 100% of the people who are there want to be there because they're spending their hard-earned money to come and do it. So I never have the problem of like motivation.
Yeah.
It just doesn't come up. And yeah, so adults has been the way. And then also I said, for all the kids out there who are learning, they're probably learning from some role model, some adult. So if we equip the adult population with great high-level knowledge, like what are we talking about in the AVP practices, the AVP tents, FIVB, what are we talking about there? That's what adults have to be exposed to. So they give great information down to the kids, and then the evolution of the sport just goes and fires up. But if the conversation among the adults is not anywhere near what we're talking about at the Olympic level, then when those kids get to the college or get to the pro level, it's a shell shock. We don't have that problem now with like UCLA, USC, LSU, because all these coaches are talking about high-level stuff immediately, and they're also juniors and club coaches. It's been the same people who are in the AVP for the last 10 years are now all of the coaches, which is sick because we're about to have the best juniors NCAA squad coming through for the next decade. I think USA is due to dominate utterly on the women's side. Oh my God, when you have 19-year-olds coming out and playing Olympic level volleyball, it's like, huh? And it's because they're all learning from only USA and AVP athletes. It's like, okay, there's an immediate, I don't know, hand to mouth of great information there.
Big time. So what's one piece of advice that you see giving your campers? It's a first day camper, average age of 35. We're a little bit, you may be nervous. What's just one piece of advice to show up to day one of camp?
Learn as many first names as you can. It's not really volleyball advice, but we know that practice is crap until everybody knows each other's first names. And then immediately, like once people are friends and they have a little built-in trust and we've built a community of friends and people start to know each other, then practices upgrade, parties upgrade, dinners are rambunctious. So one of our coaches, it's in every manual, it's like first names immediately. And if you don't know within 15 minutes the first names of everybody on your court, you have not done your job yet. And if they don't know at least 4 or 5 names, like they need to be there because that'll help upgrade the level of practice really quick. So just, yeah, kind of being Dory from New York.
There you go.
Hi,
There you
I'm
go.
Dory.
Yeah, exactly.
And just saying it 19 times in the same person.
Well, everybody wants to have super spikes and bounce the volleyball. So, piece of advice for your campers, how do you get a super spike?
Yeah, one that I learned from Isaac Newball from Torque VB is absolutely activate the rhomboid. So it's weird, but instead of pulling your elbows back, instead of flexing your arms, like if you can leave your arm jiggly, but then squeeze your shoulder blade back so that you're loose and you have this open hitting window, you're going to have a lot more power. Just that stretch cycle without tightening your arm when you need to hit, a lot of us try to muscle the ball. It's like, okay, I need to hit hard, and you think hard, so you automatically flex. If everybody can think rhomboid and then loose and fast, it will be so much better. If you can turn this arm into jelly and then just go through a ball instead of thinking that you're gonna flex every time you hit, oh man, the speed generation, the effortless speed generation that you have is crazy. And I haven't met any player that I haven't gotten able to get their first overhand serve in. And people have been trying for years and years and years. And like I taught my niece, because my brother's like, I don't know what she's doing. I don't know why she can't get her serve over the net. I was like, give me her for an hour. And it always works, you know, and it's just mechanics. It's not about strength, unless you're like maybe under 6, but then there are some 6-year-olds who can get it over. So it's obvious that it's not strength, just mechanics, nervous system, and being able to do it. So we do a lot of arm swing work, and then we also turn that into one of our best online courses. It's a 21-day Fix Your Arm Swing program. And like I said, we watch video the entire time, so it's not just, here's your course, watch it, check it out. It's like, here's a course, do it, post your video, let me give you your unique problems and show you how to fix them.
Cool, hands-on advice.
Love
Yeah. So what's another thing that if I show up to Better at Beach camp, what can I expect?
You can expect to hang out with like really high level players, which is fun. Our show games are fun with our coaches, and it's methodical. So I think a lot of people use our camp as their preseason camp, especially in the spring and like midwinter. They come and they say, okay, let me brush up on all the skills so that I hit the ground running this season. And that's the best part. But I think, you know, more and more me and Brandon keep talking about the community that we're building. We've had, I think, 7 or 8 people move to Florida with each other after having met for the first time at our camp. Like a couple months later, we learned that they're all like roommates and they've all moved from Indiana and California and wherever to hang out with each other because they met at our camp. And then when we hear people who are flying to other states and other cities to stay with somebody who they met at camp and they play volleyball in that city, it's so cool because, you know, we build all of our friends and our best relationships in whatever environment we spend the most time in. And so when you have volleyball to be able to connect you, now you can walk into any city, any state, and you've got built-in friends just because of the sport. And then if you've already spent a week on vacation with them, you know, what better than that?
Yeah.
So.
What skill on average at camp do you see the most improvement on?
Hand setting.
Interesting.
Hand setting. We have league directors. Stop calling doubles until at least the AA division. We have you can't call a double on anyone else rule at camp. So there are no doubles at Better at Beach. Everybody knows that. Everybody says it. It's because we don't want people to be scared to lose points. You know, you choose not to practice or not to get better at a skill because you're losing points. Instead, we say, for this entire week, no one is allowed to call doubles on anyone else, period. And then we really go step by step through the hand mechanics and the footwork and everything. And people who have played 9, 10 years, never tried to hand set because they're afraid to lose their points, they're done with that weekend. They're just setting sauce. And it's cool to see, and it's cool to see that like there was a barrier or a bully in their face that they couldn't get around, and we're just like, slap that bully out of the way. And here you go. Now you're hand setting.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, did you see the new NCAA indoor women's rule?
Yeah,
on the
so we're not going to have
clock?
jobs anymore. No, I like it. And I heard on the episode of Grit that you're like, well, you know, it's probably going to be a messed up set anyway, even if they do doubles. Like, it's not going to increase the accuracy. And I don't know. I think sometimes, like, doubles are still just as accurate. Is it going to be sloppy? Are they going to have less to focus on as coaches? Like, we can't know right now.
I don't know, but I feel like you still want that street swag, though. Like, you want to dish out a saucy set. Like, I don't want to dish out chowder, right? So I'm, like, trying to perfect my craft. But, like, in real game time action, if I'm, like, transitioning or even, like, a free ball and I chowder a set, it's kind of like, but the rally's extended, right? And we love long rallies in volleyball. So maybe to play devil's advocate, I'm like, oh, maybe it can be a good thing. But I totally get it from like, what's the point of even training my hand setting if everything's going to be called as a double?
Yeah.
But is it really helping your attacker?
I mean, the sport is actually called volleyball, and the act of volleying is the hand set.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, we're going through the transition that like they went through in basketball, right?
Yeah.
And the whole argument, and people are like, why do we always change the rules? This is the only sport we change the rules. Like, no, it's not. Shut up. Like, every sport has a rule change every single year that they experiment, and they try to see, can we make the game more exciting? Can we make it more interesting? Is there any rule that people are just abusing? Like, you know, basketball. At first it was slap here. Now it's...
A little bit of carryover action.
Yeah, and so like we went that way in beach where we were allowed to hold a little bit longer, and now they're like, we're getting a little aggressive with how long we're holding it, so we're gonna speed it up again. And now they're doing this one, right? So we're gonna see what happens. I don't mind it. I don't mind changing, adapting. Like, I know the old school heads will yell at me like CB from CBVA. He's just going to be like, that's garbage. It's absolute trash. You're ruining the game. And I don't think it's going to stop people from coming to the game. So I don't think it's ruined. So it'll be fun, interesting to see. And yeah, it's not a bad thing to take all these refs out of the equation. it's like the number one source of stress for coaches, for players, for parents, and especially in beach volleyball, the whole doubles contact rule. Like your first ever beach volleyball tournament, you're expected to referee and determine for the other 6 people in your pool what a legal contact is. How? How can you do that? So I think go by the rules that we have at camp, and until a certain level, guys, just don't call doubles. Like that's not there. And watch how much better the sport becomes because people are actually trying this skill now. And now setters who don't have to worry about doubles, now they're going to be like, I'm getting my hands on literally everything. Those were the cool setters in college, right? The ones who are like, I'll set anything. You want to pass over the net? I'll set that. You want to pass down there? I'll set that.
Yep.
And now it's kind of legal. So.
Yeah, exactly. All right, hot take. What do you think of the new AVP league setup?
Oh, I hate it. I think trying to continue, like, so in the same breath where I said we have to constantly adapt and change, I don't know the league where cities are represented by 2 people. I think somebody needs to be bonded to a city. Like Tim Baumgren, we'll go with him, right? I don't know what city in the Midwest, but he's from the Midwest. So if we had a Midwest AVP team, right, that's him. That's Logan. Those are the people that are definitely from there. But how are you going to have a New York team? Are you going to put Theo?
Well, you're from New York.
Sure. I don't want to play anymore. But like, you're going to put Theo on like the New York City team. He's from upstate New York. Who's his partner going to be? Right? So I think those people have to be bonded with the city for something like a city by city league to actually work or carry any weight. And then one of the great ideas that I heard that I don't think the AVP does enough of is have a person assigned to contacting every juniors club every time there's a tournament and say, hey, just a reminder, we're coming. We've got a special seat for your club, and it's cordoned off right next to this court. So we want your club to be front line, and they'll actually just use the yellow caution tape, which costs you 3 cents, and have that club there. You know, VIP seating for the club. Now you've got a fan forever. You got them when they're 8 years old. You've got them forever now. But if you're talking about city by city, when are those people going to be able to connect to that city? One of the great ideas that I heard was, well, what if they had to run a week, or like they stayed there for four weeks and they ran clinics for every community there was there, and they just did a little road trip around the city with all those? Then okay, then I think those people might bond with them. But renaming tournaments and different tournaments with different prize money where it's not a new name, it's like Sean Cook made a funny one, formerlier, the AVP Next series, and then they came out saying like it's a new one. It's confusing, you know, having all those different tiers. It needs to be simpler, and Hagen's on board with this. I'm on board with this. I'm no longer waiting. I'm going to start beating down their doors and saying like, I can help here. You know, I can be of some service. I think the best thing that they did for 1 year was when they put as many matches as they could on YouTube. Sure, they don't own YouTube. Yes, they can be kicked off of YouTube, but you can get one guy with one relationship to Google and say like, hey, just make sure you never shut our channel down, right? Now you control all of the streaming instead of having fans need to get 3 or 4 different subscriptions to watch one tournament. So yes, I'll be critical, and there are improvements that they have to make, and I think that there are some easy ones that could be made. And if you just absolutely crush your own channel and you constantly churn out all of those videos, you know, you just need a team of video editors, and then at least you have that income.
Definitely. And rooting it in youth sports is so huge. And we're seeing that with both the pro indoor leagues, with the PVF and League One. They're really rooting in the youth sports around America in the different cities that they're located in. And for example, in Vegas, we have the youth kids come out every home game.
That's so awesome.
It's so awesome. And the marketing around the city is huge. And yeah, Vegas is a great entertainment capital. But it's just really great to see like the bones, like what is the bones of volleyball? And for me, it's being able to grow the sport at the youth level. But we talk about growing the sport at the youth level. There's 400,000 kids playing volleyball. 400,000. Okay, there's 40,000 teams across the nation. It's the #1 youth sport in America, and that has the opportunity. Yes, it used to be Little League, and now it's volleyball.
Volleyball?
Yes.
Just from all the girls.
Yep.
Go girls.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm
Way to take
saying.
Title
over.
9
Yes.
cashing in.
Yep.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, 400,000 kids are playing,
That's great.
and they want to see high
I'm
level.
expecting it would be more.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome to see, and I totally agree with you. Like having, if they were to do the cities that they want to do for the AVP, like go ahead and put those grassroots down and have those camps. I think that's a great idea because you have to be able to have, like, if I'm a fan in Brooklyn, right? Like I don't see volleyball every year, but if you come into my town, I take your camp. I for sure will buy your jersey and like root for you.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, everyone who comes to our camps, like the coaches and the campers, and when we go and we do the 3-day camps, you meet that person for the first time. They coached you for 2, 6, 8 hours, 7 days. That camper is now following you for the rest of your career, sending you texts, sending you DMs anytime you get a new finish for a tournament, saying like there was a sick play. So when you create that type of bond between athlete and player, that's cool. And I think it should be encouraged a little bit more. And they're attempting things. They kind of like walk into that a little bit. They put their toe in the water with like AVP first sometimes and like some of those free events. But they announce free event. They just never call any club directors and say, hey, we're going to run this for your club. Like, come on, bring it on. Because next year, I know that you're all going to come and you're all going to buy merch. And as soon as a kid is on any tournament, like parents are buying up the merch. So that session pays for itself because the parents are there with a merch stand. So there are ways.
Yeah, there are ways. Big time.
Sure.
Big time. And you're starting a new podcast.
Yes. We've got the Better at Beach podcast that's still going. We're doing a lot of video analysis with that now. And we put that on YouTube. We put it on all the podcast things. But I realized when my brother, he started a coffee roastery and a subscription company called Tradition Coffee Roasters. So if you're ever in Hawaii on vacation and you want to go taste some amazing coffee, go to Tradition Coffee Roasters. But he was like a month into his business, and I looked at everything he had, and I was like, all right, hey, I'll write you an email in a little bit. And I wrote him something like 9 pages of, here's your next 6 months. And I came out of that, and I was like, oh. I know stuff about like starting a small business now. Like I've got experience. And so what I'm doing with our new podcast, Athletic Startup, is we're helping people monetize their fitness or athletic passion. So for me, it's like, I want to talk to jocks. I want to talk to sporty people who like working out, getting outside and being healthy and active. But talking about Bump Set Spike with like Logan and DJ and Hagen, yeah, it's fun, but I've talked about it so much that I feel like I'm, every 12 months might equal 1% of advancement, right? For small business and growing brands, every conversation like that I get into, I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited about leadership, about how to be a better coach, be a better person. And so we're starting Athletic Startup Podcast, and I'm treating it as my own university so that I get to talk to people who have built multi-million-dollar companies around a sport or around a fitness passion. And through that, we'll help other people, but also it's my personal university. And people,
I can't wait
people
to tune
spill
in.
their
I'm like,
beans.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Listen.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Big time.
And people give so much free information if you just invite them on a podcast. Like you invite them to a set and you get every bit of their knowledge, and you're just like, that was free.
Yeah.
Great, you're charging
Yeah.
$1,500 on your website.
Yeah, exactly.
strategy.
That's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, that's that road dog life right
Yeah,
there.
it's volleyball
That
has taught us.
mentality. Yep,
That's
yep.
right. It's a great
We've
scam.
been
That's the
there.
grit.
That's the
Great
grit.
scam. You say, hey, come on my podcast.
Yeah, great scam.
Call Bezos and be like, I got a podcast for it.
Yep, exactly. Meg, anything else?
No, I think it's great what you're doing and supporting now coaches and really developing that because there's some gaps right now in beach volleyball. There was a gap for supporting adults that maybe aren't just doing the pro route or college. Everything was focused on kids. So brand new sport almost, it hasn't been around that long. So that's great. And now there's not really a coach academy or curriculum
Right.
fully happening.
USA
Spec-
Volleyball's got one. They've got
Yes.
they've got a good program. I just think we can be super hands-on
Yes.
because now that there is that gap, now that beach volleyball is going, there's so many players now that we've run out of the AVP and former national team guys to
Yes.
coach, and now people are just like, oh, your local math teacher is now the beach volleyball coach.
Yeah.
So that's where we're inserting ourselves. We're like, all right, now we can help these coaches who are new to the game and teach you about reps per minute, teach you how to structure a practice, teach you how to deal with the parents, and create your philosophies and how to teach good technique. Because otherwise, then we're going to run back to the same problem where we're going to have this gap between great coaches and the kids. And so we've got to equip coaches with better information. So that's our next move.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Too much fun stuff. And for those of you watching, make sure to like and subscribe this video, but also go ahead and scroll on over to Better at Beach. Make sure to like and subscribe over there. Awesome stuff that Mark is doing with Brandon and everybody over there at Better at Beach. If you're thinking about signing up for their camp, do it. It is so much fun. You're going to grow, you're going to learn, and you might have a few brewskis along with it. But until next time, for Meg Burgdorf, I'm Victoria Dennis. Thank you, Mark, for joining us.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
Awesome.
All good stuff. Until next time, stay gritty out there.